All right. Well, Tom Gucci here, welcoming you all to a special Groundhog Day edition of TMC Tech Talk. TMC Tech Talk being one of our newest series within the TMC Connect educational webinar and podcast platform here at the Mortgage Collaborative, where we're talking really about tech talk or mortgage tech, including current events, new innovations, consumer experience, as well as spotlighting our special guests' direct contributions to pushing forward innovation within the mortgage industry. So, quick anecdotal note being it's Groundhog's Day, if you haven't heard by now, Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow this morning. So, fortunately, 6 more weeks of winter on tap for us. And for those of you that currently live up north, just another confirmation that spring probably not coming till I would imagine May for most of us, being how the weather cycles like to roll. But just a quick heads up, yeah, any comments, suggestions that our audience has on future discussion topics or industry leaders driving mortgage tech that you'd like to hear from on future episodes, can feel free to drop those inquiries in the chat, or you can reach out to me or anyone on the Mortgage Collaborative team directly. Certainly welcome your suggestions. So, on that note, I'm really excited to welcome in today's special guest. So, also have some really exciting news to share in case been dormant or haven't been paying attention on LinkedIn over the past 24 hours. They come to us courtesy of the new experience.com, or as you may formerly know them as Social Survey. And with me today, we have a tag team here. First off, new Vice President of Mortgage. You know her from Cultural Outreach. We have Kristen Messerly. Hey, Kristen.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us. And through a lot of our promotions, and just due to the kind of timing of her announcement joining the Experience team, our special guest reveal, drum roll, you know her from the Supervan Company, new Chief Experience Officer at Experience.com, Brittany Hodak. Welcome,
Hey,
Brittany.
Tom.
How are you? Great to have you with me today.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Obviously, some exciting news to dive into today with you both. But as part of Tech Talk, I always like to start the discussion by kind of learning a little bit more about our guests' background and kind of how they got to where they are today. Simply because, let's be honest, most of us did not have aspirations as young people and necessarily landing in kind of the mortgage industry. So you two in particular both have really dynamic backgrounds as entrepreneurs. And I kind of want to start here with Kristen and we'll follow with Brittany. If you could, each tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, so like most people getting into mortgage, I had a family member that was in mortgage, but for me, my entire family really, my dad owned a mortgage company when I was young, so I grew up in the space, and then I grew up saying I would never come back to it, and then I was a social worker, and I worked primarily in immigrant communities, and just found myself doing a ton of financial education and housing coordination, and realizing that there was just a huge disconnect from the good lenders and the communities that a lot of times they were trying to reach. So I started doing more connections and started creating a business out of that, which is where Cultural Outreach was born in 2013. So we create a lot of educational content and help banks and mortgage companies connect with young and diverse markets. So through the span of 7 or 8 years, I'm focused on doing a lot of research on the consumer and connecting that with the mortgage industry. Last year we released a next gen homebuyer report, done tons of research on especially how banks can and mortgage companies can use technology as well to connect with young and diverse markets. And so I've consulted on different projects like that. And when this opportunity came available, it was right when I decided to sell Cultural Outreach to NAMBA, and which I was super excited about. I was ready to dive into. I'd been working on some other technology projects, and then this came available. And I mean, it's all about understanding and connecting with the voice of the customer. Everything that I have been so passionate about. So it was just a really amazing fit and natural progression of my career.
Well, it's awesome. And we're lucky to have you, join us at, really just kind of the tip of the iceberg with your time with experience.com. So certainly excited to see, what you've got coming down the line as it relates to some technology advancements on the mortgage side. And I think it's funny too. Yeah, I've heard it kind of pop up in popular media circles of late, but just a lot of inquiry out there on why we aren't incorporating financial literacy more so in formal education for our youth from, really grade school, high school level on up, since there's such a deficiency out there, as I'm sure you're probably extremely well versed in, just with, your time on the social work side and with the cultural outreach organization that you really have grown up to, just the force that it is today. So hopefully people take heed of that, and through your efforts here, we're getting more people informed on how they can be more impactful consumers.
Well, it's amazing because no matter what education you have or what background you have, people do not know what to do when it comes to building wealth through homeownership. When they think about buying a home, no one knows who to talk to. They may have a banking relationship for their entire lives, but not think of going there to talk about getting a mortgage. And they don't have someone that they can trust. So, I mean, I've surveyed thousands of millennial next gen homebuyers, interviewed hundreds at this point, and everyone says that they're just so lost when it comes to that. And I think in talking with mortgage companies and executives, they also feel lost when it comes to how to reach those consumers. And so there's a really important connection that needs to take place that we're working on solving. So.
Well, it's extremely exciting. I know it can go a long way to kind of help bridge that information and resource gap too, and not only help help the industry at large and being able to get involved with potential consumers out there early, in their experience, and help out home ownership as a whole.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, Brittany, tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you ended up where you are today, since you've got really a dynamic backstory to bring to the table as well.
Yeah, well, I really grew up in the entertainment industry. I thought I was going to be working for record companies for my entire career, and that's where I got my start as a kid. And I was always obsessed with customer experience. I was always obsessed with how can we do a little bit more for customers? How can we make this a little bit more about them and help these artists really connect with the artists they love? And about a decade ago, I launched a company that became the Superfan Company, where I was focused exclusively on that, creating really exciting packages to connect customers with the things they loved, whether that was an artist or a sports team or a movie franchise or a comic book franchise. So I had the opportunity to work with some of the biggest stars and brands on the planet. And as I was doing that, I started doing more and more consulting work. People came to us and said, I love what you did for my album launch, but I'm not going to have another album for 2 years. What else can we do? Or my retail partners were saying, I love what you're doing in entertainment, but come help me in CPG. What else can you do? So I really started discovering this need for customer focused CX across basically every vertical that I've ever worked in and ever seen. So about 3 years ago, I sold the majority interest in my company to two of my founding partners so that I could start speaking and writing full time, with an eye toward helping industries do a better job of understanding every point on their customer's journey, understanding that intersection between employee experience and customer experience, and how to really build customer first practices. And so I've been speaking on that for a couple of years, and Social Survey was a client I was thrilled to speak to a couple of times. And I gotta be honest, Tom, I was not looking for a job. I was not expecting this at all. Scott called me, I think it was on Christmas Eve, and he was excited. He told me about the new platform, which is incredible. The platform that we launched earlier this week. He told me that he had just secured the name experience.com, and I think he could see me getting more and more excited. Then he told me he had just gone out and got Kristen to join the team. And I was like, wow, you are really setting it up to win. And he said, come join the team. I want you to join the team too. And I kind of laughed, and he was like, no, I'm serious. Join the team. You should come join the team. And so I got off the Zoom call and I walked out and I said to my husband, I think I just got a job offer. And he was like, oh, that's crazy. And I said, no, the crazy part is think I'm going to take it. I think I really want to do this. So I am about a month into this role and could not be happier because I see such a huge opportunity to help all of our customers think about the way they take care of their customers. So I am so excited to get to help do lots of exploration and journey mapping and ideation with all of our customers to help them do a better job of creating super fans in all of their businesses.
Oh, that's awesome. And I know like a lot of our members and partners alike, if they don't already know, are going to be extremely excited to see your presence at experience.com, since I've always heard such great feedback from a lot of the talks and speeches that you've given in the past, and have really been inspiring to a lot of my peers in the industry about creating their brand awareness and super fans kind of out of their network. So excited to see what you have in store for us at Experience.
Well, thank you.
And aside from that, knowing your past history now, I may have to pick your brain at some point around some new music to keep an eye out for. But real quick, I want to share kind of personal experience. And looking at your background, I also understand that you are a Guinness record holder. And maybe real quickly, if you could share for us your specific record.
I am a Guinness World Record holder. And, I wish it was for having like the, tallest this or fastest that. Like I wish it was some sort of feat that was incredible, but really the company that I launched, the Superfan company, I had originally put the business plan together for that when I was in college, and I was planning to create this product, and it was for this band, and I had spent all of this time helping them get ready for their major label debut. And 3 months before graduation, the band broke up. And so I was 3 months from graduation without a thesis project. And if you didn't have this capstone thesis project, you didn't get this specific minor for interdisciplinary honors. So I was freaked out. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And one of my friends and I were talking about it, and he said, well, what if we set a Guinness World Record? What could we do? And I was graduating in December, and this was right after Hurricane Katrina. So I said, I wonder what I could do to benefit some of the people that were displaced by Hurricane Katrina. And I started thinking about, Christmas and toy drives. So I created the world's largest Christmas stocking, which was 55 feet tall and almost 27 feet from heel to toe, and like legit sewed it on sewing machines with the help of lots of people, lots of RSOs on campus. And we all worked together to collect almost 14,000 toys that were donated for kids in need. So giant stocking, filled it up with toys. It was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Not only a Guinness World Record holder, but doing so for a really great cause in the process. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for giving me credit. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, that's so altruistic. But like the original cause was, how can I graduate? So I can't completely take credit for just trying to make the world a better place. But it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, just a reminder for our attendees, this is TMC Tech Talk. Tom Glucci here with our special guests today, Brittany Hodak and Kristen Messerly from the new experience.com, formerly known as Social Survey. Friendly reminder out there, any questions, comments that you have on the broadcast or for Kristen or Brittany, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll try to make time to cover those at the end. So I love kind of hearing more about both your backgrounds, but obviously we've got some really exciting news, and makes a ton of sense too along the new brand launch of experience.com. Really the big reason for today's discussion, it's just not only a name and brand change. So maybe if you guys both provide us a little bit of color, just coming off yesterday's announcement, for the formal transition, and I guess specifically kind of the thought process behind this launch of experience.com.
Yeah, Kristen, would you like to go first?
Sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out for a second, so I hope I answered the right question here. But the question is, tell us a little bit about the launch. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Or what we're doing here? Okay.
Yeah, kind of the thought process behind the launch.
Yeah. So I'll tell you from my perspective, and then Brittany, you can fill in on a higher level. But in mortgage, and it really relates back to my experience where I'm coming from, talking about the voice of the customer and connecting with that. But over the next year, especially, we're going to see just a huge influx of and growth in digital mortgage overall. And I think if you're not listening very carefully to the voice of the customer and making changes in real time to improve that customer experience, you're not going to be able to compete with the tech companies, the Amazons that are going into mortgage, the tech companies that are becoming fintech companies. And so I think we're in a crucial time where customer experience is your competitive advantage. And so we are coming on board to partner with you on that, help you listen to your customers, make changes to the customer experience in real time, and strategize with you on how to meet those borrowers' needs. So I think there's a lot of facets to what that means for experience.com and the way that we partner with you. But that's really the goal, is to help you listen to your customers, make changes, and then we'll be with you to help you grow in this really critical time of growth. Brittany, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I would say, it's such an exciting time right now because the history of CX has been about listening and then making changes later. So it wasn't necessarily asking people about their experience in the moment. It was, let's wait until the loan has closed and let's send them a 40-question survey about what their experience looked like after the fact. Well, that's really doing a disservice, not just to your company, but also to that borrower, because it's not a moment anymore, it's a memory. You're asking them to reflect on a memory with the hopes that maybe you can take those insights and make things better for the next customer. And that's really legacy CX. What I'm excited about, and what we're doing at experience.com, is really CX 2.0. It's data in motion. It's saying, rather than wait until the end, let's figure out the exact spots along this customer journey to ask, and let's ask about the exact right things at the right time to affect that relationship and that experience while it's still happening. As Kristen said, how can we optimize it right now? And that really is the competitive advantage. And to be able to do that, not just on the one-to-one basis of that borrower and that loan, but also looking at an aggregate and saying, what are the trends that we're seeing over time? How do we need to update our processes as we go to make sure that we have CX as a competitive advantage forever? Like, how do we continue to stay one step ahead? And that's by listening in the moment and changing those outcomes in real time as they're unfolding.
And I'll share just a personal example of this. I've followed borrower journeys forever, but now I'm going through that actual borrower journey myself. And I got connected with the loan officer through my realtor, and she started taking the loan app over the phone. And I was like, I want a better experience. I want to use technology. And so I dropped off that communication. And she, that lender is never going to know why I didn't work with them. If they surveyed me right then after the application was taken, or after that first conversation happened, or after there was this gap in communication, then they would know they need to get on their game with it when it comes to technology. They're losing customers, but instead they're going to continue doing business the way that they've always done, which is a huge, cautionary tale to the industry. Like, you can't keep doing things the way that they've been done and not make changes based on your customer feedback. So I think, just understanding again what those touch points are and how you can make changes based on that experience.
Yeah. And another personal story, a lot of times people think that the journey ends when the loan closes. And for a lot of lenders, it does, right? For a lot of customers, it does. And that's why people go somewhere else, but it shouldn't. And you should continue to keep that relationship. I had a terrible experience when I got the loan for my home from a bank. And that's part of the reason that I started looking at mortgage. I was like, there's got to be a better way. But just as one example, the loan closed. I was like, okay, this is great. Same thing. I would never, write a check and send a check in the mail paying money. So as soon as my loan closed, I signed up so that I could, pay. I was like, okay, I've got 6 weeks or whatever until my mortgage is due, or the first payment is due. Signed up. A week later, get a letter in the mail. Oh, your loan was bought by somebody else. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. All right, I guess this is my new mortgage company now. Again, set up, make my user ID, password, get ready to pay online. 3 weeks later, again, before I've ever made a payment, oh, my loan was, sold again. I guess this is my mortgage company. So before I ever made the first payment on my home, I had to sign in to 3 different companies. And by the time the original person who had done my mortgage called me like a week after I paid that first payment, and he was like, "How are things going?" And I was like, "Terrible. You didn't tell me that my loan was going to just keep getting sold and sold and sold." And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's how it works." And I was like, "Well, I didn't know that. I've never done this before. I've never bought a home. I wish you had told me that before I made 3 different, IDs and joined up to 3 different sites to be a customer." So again, just things like that. Of a lot of times we lose sight of the fact that the customer doesn't know what they don't know, and we need to be checking in with them. We need to be helping them through the entire journey, and that extends beyond, everybody signing on the dotted line.
And you both provide great personal examples because I think of it the same way. Like from an originator or a lender standpoint, you don't know what you don't ask about from the client experience, either during the process or after the fact. And to both your points, it's a great opportunity to keep those lines of communication open so that you stay top of mind with them and create additional opportunities in the future for a refinance or for another opportunity or even for a referral. And again, if we're not having those touch points, then it's a hope and a prayer that that client comes back.
Yeah, and
So,
buyers today are your best advocates. I mean, if they have a positive experience, we want to make sure, especially in a world where it's very stressful, you're making the biggest financial decision of your life. Like if I have a positive experience, I want to make sure everyone I know has that same experience also. If I have a negative experience, it's going to be the same thing. I mean, I'm going to really make sure no one else has that negative experience. But so I just think it's an important time when even though the industry is overwhelmed with record volume, like that's not going to stay there. It's not going to stay with you if you're not staying ahead of listening to your customers and creating those really powerful experiences.
Yeah, and referrals have never been more important, because as the industry gets more cluttered, as more entrants come in and say we can do it too, it's just muddying the waters. It's confusing things for consumers who've never done it before, which makes that recommendation from a trusted friend or colleague or family member who says, "Oh yeah, I had a great experience here." Great. All of a sudden, that means I get to completely release all of this anxiety. I don't have to, spend all of this time researching and trying to figure out what this landscape is. I just have a guy who knows a guy, right? That's what we all want. We want the I know a guy plan.
so true. I think of that when I'm, looking for somebody to work on the car or something like that. It's always important if you know somebody is to not get ripped off. So too true, and definitely applies towards our industry as well. Um, well, I got, obviously a lot of excitement around the announcement also creates a lot of questions. Thinking about the collaborative here, where we've got, more than 60 of our members are existing social survey now, experience.com clients. Yeah, anything that you both could share as to, how this announcement will impact the existing client base?
This is so exciting for existing clients, because we've already released a lot of new features that you'll see when you migrate from V1 over to V2. And we've got even more coming before the end of the year. So there are 3 or 4 new modules that will be up and running in the first half of the year that will help you do an even better job of connecting to your customers everywhere they're at within the journey. So I can say, if you've loved Social Survey in the past, you're going to love it even more in the future as experience.com.
Yeah,
I know
the thing
that's
is,
going to get our members excited.
it's not just a rebrand. We're launching into this very transformative new updated platform. And as part of that, what Brittany and I have talked about is that we are partners with you on this journey. So if you are, whether or not you are close with, which hopefully you are with your success person, but you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we want to make sure that you're having the best experience that you can through our platform, and that you're getting the most out of our team of experts. So we're here for you through that as well.
And something that I am so passionate about from all of my past work is really helping clients understand their uniqueness, their point of differentiation, or as I like to talk about it when I talk, their superpower. What is it about your business that makes you the absolute best choice for every potential customer you're out there targeting? And do all of your employees know it? Do all of your customers know it? Is it part of the DNA of your company? Are you making sure that's front and center and you're leading with that in every interaction? Because when you know that, when you've got that superpower, you can compete and win on that thing rather than saying, I've got to try to chase every new trend. I've got to try to be everywhere. I've got to try to compete on everything all the time. So if anybody out there doesn't know the answer to what is my superpower, I invite you to reach out to me, and I would love to walk you through that, do some exercises to help you figure that out and make sure that every single person on your team understands that as well, so that they can lead with that when they're working with their customers, because that's going to become very critical as we continue to roll out these new features with experience.com for you to really be able to multiply your uniqueness to all of your customers.
Love it. Well, remind everybody, this is TMC Tech Talk. Tom Glucci here with our special guests, Brittany Hodak and Kristen Messerly with experience.com. I want to talk about the other side of the coin, thinking about a consumer experience standpoint, is obviously it relates so much to the power that experience.com brings to the table from a client perspective. But I'm curious from you both if there's been, I guess, any prior lessons learned, and understanding that both your time with experience is relatively new, but just in your interactions with the team, maybe prior lessons learned under the social survey umbrella that helped impact this transition to experience.com, as well as kind of the version 2 rollout.
I think a lot of it comes down to understanding these touch points with the customer and how important it is to make changes in real time to improve the customer experience. Because as Brittany was saying, it's not just at the end of like after closing that you are sending out a survey and getting some feedback. It's not just about getting, which we can get exponentially more reviews than you're getting on your own or with another partner, but that's one outcome. If you don't know why someone left in the middle of the process, or how someone's experience was after that initial conversation, you're not able to develop the kind of customer experience that's going to compete in the long term. So those are the really big, I think, influential factors in the way that we're transitioning over to experience.com.
Yeah, I think another great one is this idea of hierarchy. So one of the things that's so special about this platform is the ability to take any piece of feedback and give it to anyone in the hierarchy of your organization as it's happening. So when you empower every single one of your employees across whatever branch they're in, whatever region they're in, wherever they sit, when you empower them to get their own real-time feedback and then also send that up to everybody that they report up to through the structure, you can really shift culture. You can say, here are the things that we're focused on. Here are the behaviors that we're trying to change. Here are the outcomes that we're trying to affect. And then using the various APIs, you can link that out. So you can actually say, okay, for this month, we're focusing on X. And you can let everyone in your organization know that's the thing that's important. You can create a campaign where you're asking your customers about those things and then tying it back in real time to some sort of reward for everyone in that hierarchy. So, they get a bonus when this is mentioned. They get, closer to their goal of X when this thing is achieved. So the focus of really being able to say, let's make this work not only from the top down, but also from the bottom up, so that every single person in the organization is empowered in real time with the customers that they're interfacing with.
Yeah, because you may be getting 5 stars with your loan officer, but the if you can tie a connection point to the processor and your processor is not killing it the way your loan officer is, you should know that as an organization, and you should be able to make changes based on that. Someone may have an exceptional experience all the way through, but your technology sucked, and so their 5 stars became 4 stars, or and you have no idea why that customer was rating you a little bit lower. So with our new platform, you're able to connect the dots there on who's performing well, who could need some adjustments, and then again, where you can improve the experience overall.
No, it's so impactful to think about it in that way. Under the social survey brand, so much was focused on the originator experience with the consumer, and being able to kind of aggregate that information throughout the loan process To both your points, allows an organization to dig so much deeper in if there's common trends or feedback that they're seeing, where maybe there's a deficiency at a certain point in the manufacturing process and be able to address that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, it's super exciting.
mhm. And speaking of, I want to offer up a quick plug. So we've got an upcoming TMC Connect web broadcast, actually 2 weeks from today, on Tuesday, February the 16th, titled Experience.com, Making Experiences Matter More, where CEO Scott Harris is going to join us and do a deeper dive kind of into the why behind the version 2.0 rollout, as well as spending some time sharing a high-level demo of the functionality of the new platform. So for those joining us live here, I've dropped the registration link for that web broadcast into the Zoom chat. So certainly encourage you to register for that. But speaking of the version 2.0 rollout, you both have shared a really good bit of information already on kind of what we can expect from this rollout. I want to give kind of a final opportunity before we wrap today. If there's anything additional that either of you would like to point to with this 2.0 version rollout, to kind of whet the collective beak of the audience for what they can get excited about coming down the line.
Gosh, I'm just, I know it's reiterating everything we've already said, but you can actually collect the customer voice in a way that's meaningful to your organization. You can make changes in a way that is going to allow you to be competitive long-term in this really rapidly changing environment. So I encourage everyone to watch that demo, connect with Scott on that in a couple of weeks. It's going to be really amazing. The user interface and everything is so beautiful. But I also want to mention that if anyone, customer or not, wants to talk through your tech stack or your customer experience, I know Brittany and I want to be resources for everyone in this community. So please feel free to reach out. I'm definitely a partner with you on this journey and very passionate about improving customer experience in the mortgage industry.
Yep, absolutely. 100% to everything Kristen just said. I firmly believe that experience is everything. It is your competitive advantage. Years ago, it was your brand, it was your advertising, maybe it was your social experience. In the era we're living through right now, it is the experience. Customer experience and the employees that are powering customer experience is everything. It is the biggest point of differentiation that you can have. It is how you're going to not only compete, but win. You've got to get it nailed down. So as Kristen said, we would love to be your partners. We would love to help you think about how you can make your customer experience and that journey different from anyone else in your space so that you're winning.
No, I love it. I look forward to being able to collaborate with you both on bringing that value to our members at the Mortgage Collaborative and the industry beyond. So to our listeners, just a quick programming note here. Be on the lookout for the podcast version and YouTube recording of today's session on demand. And it should be accessible out there as of tomorrow. Our attendees today will also get direct links and a follow-up correspondence. So if you got people in your organization that you want to see today's broadcast, we'll certainly have that collateral for you to share out. And Kristen and Brittany, again, I want to thank you both. Know how busy you both are right now, just as you're settling into your new roles and sharing out really what the industry can expect from Experience.com, for just taking the time out today to be my guest. So really enjoyed this discussion.
Thank you so much for having us, and never too busy for you, never too busy for any conversations with you guys on the call as well. So thank you.
Exactly. It was our honor. Thank you for having us.
No, I love it. And I look forward to hosting you both for more engagements with the collaborative in the future here.
Hopefully in person, so we can all
Knock on wood. Coming soon. That's our hope too, is getting back there a little bit later this year. So just a reminder to our attendees, we will see you back on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern for a regularly scheduled episode of TMC Tech Talk, where we'll have Capacity's founder and CEO, David Karandish. And until then, if you're talking TMC, you're talking tech. So be well, friends.